Joining us now is Dr. Lee Crater, Director of Research Connections at the National Center for Children in Poverty at Columbia University. Lee, welcome.
It's good to be here. Thanks.
As they even alluded to in the video report, we tend to think of home-based care and pre-K as two different things. Why devote this kind of effort to making quality pre-K accessible to families who use home-based care?
Well, Ray, it's important because while all kids benefit from pre-K, kids who are likely to be in home-based care stand to benefit the most. These are often families use home-based care because they work irregular schedules. They're low-income families more often. All income levels use it, but low-income families more often. They work irregular schedules. The center schedule just doesn't work. They don't speak English at home, and they want a caregiver that matches the home language. They often want a relative caregiver. And they're families that are more likely to be comfortable, more comfortable with a home-based setting than an institutional type setting.
Is there research? Has it been measured what some of the benefits are for partnering home-based care with a pre-K program?
Well, this is a relatively new program, so there's research planned. But one of the benefits we see is that it strengthens the home-based care, not only for the kids that are in the pre-K program, but for all the kids, including the infants and toddlers who are often in home-based care. And we know that language delays and the gaps in language development open up before kids are 3, and so this is an opportunity to reach them. Also, you saw in the video the partnerships that developed and the trust that developed among parents, providers, and center-based teachers.
Yeah, it was a great video. Lee, we heard in that video that funding for transportation was a major challenge. Another barrier mentioned was the financial impact on home-based providers. How is that handled in Illinois?
There is no financial disincentive for a home-based provider who is participating in Illinois' child care subsidy system to participate in Community Connections. They still care for their children 5 or more hours a day, and that constitutes full-time care.
Lee, we heard Maria Whalen say in the video, it's important to meet families where they are. Give us an idea of how many families in the country use home-based child care.
Well, national surveys vary, but roughly a third to a half of little kids 0 to 5 in non-parental care are in home-based settings, regulated, unregulated, either alone or in combination with other forms of care.
Now, we saw a very successful program in Illinois, but are there other states that are trying to build a bridge between home-based care and preschool?
There are other small efforts. One example is in Massachusetts, where they're they're experimenting with offering the entire pre-K experience in the home-based setting, as well as in other settings. 67, I think, homes involved. Those home caregivers have to have either accreditation from the National Association of Family Child Care or hold a CDA, an AA, or a BA degree.
Is there evidence, and you noted that it is still early, that these efforts are helping hard-to-reach children?
Well, again, in this little Massachusetts effort, among all the settings they fund, the home-based settings have the highest proportion of children using the subsidies in that state and the highest proportion of kids from non-English speaking homes.
You know, it's really great to see the pre-K programs reaching out to the community providers. We also have some examples where community institutions have initiated the collaboration. For example, in Texas, my home state, the Early On School Readiness Project in San Antonio brings together mentors and home-based caregivers for play and learn sessions throughout the city.
And another example is in Arkansas, where the schools of the 21st century reach out to the home-based providers in their communities. And their outreach often aligns what's going on in the homes with what's going on in the pre-K classrooms. They go to the homes, they invite the home providers to the schools, they connect the schools, the home-based providers, with other resources in the community, and sometimes even offer some financial supports.
Libby, any final thoughts?
You know, these examples go to show that the same can-do attitude we found in Illinois exists all over the country. Our shared pursuit of high-quality voluntary pre-K for all children is helping communities band together to improve the opportunities for every young child.
And Lee, your final thoughts?
Well, I think in this economic environment, as jobs get harder to find and hold, more families, more parents are going to be working irregular hours, more families are going to be using home-based options, so it's very important to keep up and build more links between pre-K and home-based care. We don't want one of the consequences of this downturn to be fewer kids having access to quality pre-K.
Lee, thanks a lot. And Libby, I think you have specific action items for advocates?
Right. Thanks, Lee. Yes, we can take several important lessons from this discussion. First, make sure that pre-K funding is flexible enough to meet the needs like transportation and extra materials for home-based care. Second, help pre-K program staff use best practices in community outreach and organizing to educate and partner with other caregivers. Third, funding should be available to assess the barriers families encounter as they seek quality pre-K for their children. And finally, always make sure we're sending a clear message that Maria said, that all caregivers are valued and able to participate in a system of quality early learning.